Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And this is our non-spoiler review for Ghostbusters, The Frozen Empire. The Spangler family returns to the iconic New York City firehouse where the original Ghostbusters have taken ghostbusting to the next level. When the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, Ghostbusters old and new must unite to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age. Alright, so we had a lot of fun watching that trailer. We did a couple of trailer reactions, in fact, for this movie because there was the US, like the domestic trailer, and then there was the international one, which we felt gave it a better overall story, and we tend to like that one a little bit more just because it gave a little bit more. So
yeah, I felt like the international trailer really made it so it told a little bit more of the story, gave us a little bit more vibe of what they might be doing and experimenting with, whereas the US trailer was very much kind of like nostalgia and cameos.
Yeah. And so going into it, the one thing I was hoping for was just fun, obviously get hooked in with a little bit of that nostalgia feeling. And I am so sorry to say that I did not feel either of those things. And I feel like I really should have, getting to see Dan Aykroyd and essentially the original Ghostbusters -1 coming back to be a part of this movie even more so than the first one should be a pretty big deal because, we watched them growing up and everything. So I was hoping for that excitement and it just never built for me. It's the pacing of it. It's a lot slower than the first one. And with the story, obviously, big threat, high risk. So I was expecting to have a lot of fun busting ghosts, see where the story's going to go, the conflict, and etc. And I just felt like there were so many plot holes and really the scenes are kind of just plays out really weird. The character development, whatever they did in the first movie, didn't translate over to this one. Like, I had a ton of fun watching the first movie. Is it as good as, like, the original Ghostbusters? I'm gonna say no, because it's not gonna top those two, for me. But I still have fun with it, and what they did with the characters, and kind of, like, passing the torch and stuff. This one, I feel like somewhere they dropped the ball.
Yeah, I really feel like they missed the mark a lot on this. With the trailer, it looked like it was going to be a little bit darker, a little bit grittier, because even in the first Ghostbusters movie, there were moments that were really, really scary. And I was hoping that we would get something a little bit more along those lines with this movie, where especially you have this demon character with these horns that can control ice, and it just never really materialized. You never really had any feeling of threat or darkness or anything that would actually kind of scare or even like build up some tension. And I feel like they just never really got you to care about anything. I'm sorry, I thought I was going to go down the way of like, oh, the characters.
Give an example or something.
Give a specific example, but honestly, I mean, the one thing that I did find a little interesting was a little bit of the lore behind the monster.
Yes, that was
However,
cool.
That was all done in like an exposition dump. It was like, hey, let's go to the guy that knows all the information. Blah! And it's all there. I'm like, they could have slowly revealed this. They could have been trying to figure out what this thing was. They could have, but no, they just dump it all into an exposition. And they have all of these different moments with the characters from the previous movie that I thought would kind of like build the character and grow the character, but they didn't go anywhere. They decided to have like this certain moment, and you're like, oh yeah, we're going to have this moment with Slimer and one of the other characters, and it's kind of like a continuing problem,
yeah,
but it doesn't go anywhere.
Kind of like a bit that you see throughout the movie.
It really was just a reason to bring Slimer in there.
Yeah.
And I also feel like they kind of did that for a lot of the characters to where it was part of the bit. Now, Dan Aykroyd is actually in this a lot more.
He's got a lot of screen time.
And I like Dan Aykroyd. I like kind of what they did with his character, but I wanted a little bit more. It was pretty much just, oh yeah, Dan Aykroyd, and now he's going to be helping out the Ghostbusters. I'm like, there wasn't any growth. There was no expansion of his character. There was no, him kind of leaning into discovery of this problem.
Yeah.
It was just the fact that, the problem kind of got dumped on his door.
Yeah, and I liked where they were, like, the thing is that they had really good intention for where these characters could go, right? For Dan Aykroyd's character, they essentially kind of set it up like he's not ready to hang up, the ghost busting stuff, even though he's not on, he's not driving the Ecto-1, he's not out there physically busting ghosts. He's still staying within that realm of the supernatural and the scary stuff. And I like that, and sort of like I wanted to see his reasoning for not wanting to give that up, why he's staying in it, where the other members have, not that they're not friends, but have moved on from their previous career. So I thought there was a good direction for him to go, and they brushed over it so nonchalantly. You're like, cool, that's it, okay. So a lot of the scenes, the dialogue, the actions of these characters, where you felt like, okay, I can see where they're going to take this, potentially, there's a lot of potential there, it never bared any weight to it. It just felt kind of so throwaway. For one of the characters, and she wasn't my favorite character in the first movie, but I still liked her, and it's really the writing of the character and not the actress, right? But it's the character of Kelly, played by Carrie Coon. And she, had a rough start in the first movie trying to figure out how to be a mom. She's moving around, and now she's got to move back into, like the old home and all of this. But we had development with her and her kids in the first movie. All of that gone. The character was so unlikable in this film. I was like, what happened there? Did something happen between the relationship with her and her son and daughter?
And she also really came off as like a bad mom, to where you're like, what mother would do this?
The relationship between Kelly and I think Gary, Paul Rudd's character, which I thought would also grow a little bit, and they touched on it, but I never felt it. I never felt any sort of like romantic spark between the two.
Yeah. And also there was a moment in there where they kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to develop the character, the relationship between these people, and then something is said. I don't want to spoil it, but it was completely unearned. There's nothing that made me lead up to go, there's no way that they would say that. So I felt like, yeah, there was just a lot of moments that they could have developed that they just didn't.
Yeah, there's on top of the large cast that they already have, they also brought in, aside from the main, like icy baddie, they brought in another character. We're not going to talk about them in this one because I feel like it's too spoilery. But this character, again, we thought they were going to add something, and at the end, it was one, predictable, and two, just kind of like fell flat.
Yeah.
One of the things I knew where, as I was watching, as I was experiencing this movie, I kind of thought, why don't I feel like I'm having fun? Sometimes you, for example, a ghost busting scene was pretty much top of the film. And they're in the car, they're ready, there's this like huge looking, it's the kind of like a snake dragon looking ghost.
We see in the trailer.
You see in the trailer. And, the family, essentially, the Spengler family is going after it. And I was like, this should be really cool. This should be action-packed, lots of fun. I should feel like I'm getting wrapped up in all the excitement. And I couldn't connect with it. And I felt like that through the entirety of the movie, which is so disappointing. Because if anything, in a Ghostbusters franchise, I just want to have fun. Even with the nostalgia stuff that they try to pull, having the original Ghostbusters in the film really didn't do anything for me at all. And I really thought that they, at the very least, that's what would do it for me. I'm like, yeah, the nostalgia, because we've said that in previous films. We love the nostalgia stuff. And didn't do it for me.
I'm going to give you guys a warning right now. This is kind of spoiler, so if you want to skip ahead a few seconds, I understand. But I'm going to tell this spoiler because it just irked me. Bill Murray's in this movie for like a total of 5 minutes throughout the entire movie. And it makes no sense on why he's there. Every single time he enters, you're like, wait, why is he here?
It's as if his purpose was just to serve that nostalgia, that cameo. His character didn't propel the story forward. Not like Dan Aykroyd's character. Not like Winston, who propelled the story forward a little bit. Like, he just kind of showed up and was Venkman. And which, like, by definition, I feel like that would have been just fun enough to watch, just him coming on to be Venkman. but it was kind of empty. So, and it's not like based on performance. Just I'm just saying it's how they decided to portray that. So it's not
Yeah.
on any. We're not saying it's on anybody's performance. There were a few moments where they got a few good chuckles out of the both of us. Paul Rudd doing his thing. Kumail Nanjiani is in this comic relief. Like there's some moment where they hit it and it's great, but they're not. It's kind of really just sprinkled throughout the movie. And I thought also in some of the later scenes, some of the hero shots, and when the theater was like dead silence, where we
Yeah.
should be by
Hooping and hollering.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was like, oh no. So, anyways, I think with that said, we're gonna go ahead and give our rating for Ghostbusters: The Frozen Empire. The movie couple rating is a little bit different, so it is listed for your reference in the video description below. Look, I was excited going in. I just wanted to have a good time with a franchise that I grew up with, knowing that most of the original Ghostbusters were going to be a part of this. I had fun with the first one. Is it as good as 1 and 2? No, but I already kind of had a feeling that was going to be the case going in. But I still had fun with the first one. I don't know what happened with the second one, and I'm so disappointed because I really wanted to go in and have a good time with it. And I feel really let down. I couldn't connect with it. I was kind of bored, honestly, throughout. And I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a skip it.
Yeah, overall, I had high hopes for this movie. I thought they were going to be a little bit darker, a little bit grittier, get to spend some more time with the characters that we love, and none of the characters hit. I really didn't care about what was going on. They just couldn't grasp onto things. There's plot holes everywhere. The things that they did just made no sense whatsoever. So, honestly, I'm going to give this a skip it.
I do want to mention that I thought the creature designs looked cool, like all the ghosts and stuff like that. They looked really cool. That's it.
Yeah, the big demon guy, he looks pretty cool.
He looked pretty cool. So with that said, you guys, once you've seen the film, come back here in the comment section and let us know your thoughts on the movie. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you soon.